Let me start by asking you to pause for a moment and think about your life. How often do you feel anxious, restless, or even ashamed when it comes to money? Maybe you're working tirelessly, yet no matter how much you earn, it seems like the stress never leaves. You're not alone. Many of us carry this silent burden, convinced that money and faith are at odds, that wanting abundance somehow makes us greedy. But what if I told you the Bible doesn't see it that way? What if the struggle isn't about money itself, but about understanding the principles that God has already laid out for us centuries ago? Think about Abraham, one of the most faithful men in Scripture. He was blessed with immense wealth, yet he walked with God, obeyed him, and lived a life of integrity. Solomon, known as the wisest man, amassed extraordinary riches not by chasing money blindly, but by seeking wisdom first. Even in the New Testament, we see examples like Lydia, a successful businesswoman, whose faith and prosperity were intertwined. These people didn't stumble into wealth by accident. They followed timeless, practical principles that anyone today can apply. And that's what we're going to explore, not as a formula for greed, but as a pathway to aligning your finances with faith. The first principle is understanding that God is the source, not the system. It's easy to fall into the trap of believing that our jobs, businesses, or investments are the ultimate providers. But the Bible teaches clearly that every blessing, including wealth, originates from God. Deuteronomy 8:18 says, "Remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you the ability to produce wealth." This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means that your efforts are channels of provision, not the source. When we trust God rather than panic over the economy or compare ourselves to others, our approach to money becomes calmer, wiser, and much more fruitful. Wealth flows more freely when fear is removed, and our hearts are aligned with His purposes. Closely tied to this is the principle that work itself is holy. The Bible does not portray labor as a curse or punishment. In fact, it praises diligence consistently. Proverbs repeatedly emphasizes that the diligent will prosper, not the lucky or the clever, but those who show up faithfully and do their work with excellence. There's a profound difference between hustling out of desperation and working with purpose. God's blessings do not fall on shortcuts. They fall on faithful, consistent effort. Think of it like planting a tree. You water it daily, give it sunlight, care for it patiently, and over time it grows strong and fruitful. That is the kind of work God honors, work that is patient, principled, and full of integrity. This approach helps prevent burnout and disappointment, which so often plague those who chase wealth without a foundation of faith. Next is the principle of wisdom over greed. Solomon didn't ask God for gold or silver. He asked for wisdom, and in that wisdom came everything else. This is crucial because money without discernment can lead to ruin. The Bible teaches that the path to lasting wealth is not driven by emotion, greed, or fear, but by careful planning, learning, seeking counsel, and understanding the right timing. Wisdom allows you to know when to invest, when to save, and when to act boldly. It's what protects your resources and ensures that the wealth you accumulate serves your life and your calling, rather than becoming a source of stress and entrapment. Many people make the mistake of chasing quick returns, thinking the fastest path is the smartest path. But God's way values long-term stability, informed decisions, and thoughtful action. Another essential aspect that often surprises people is the understanding that money must serve you, not rule you. The Bible does not say money is evil. It says the love of money is dangerous. Money itself is a tool, but it can easily become a master if we are not careful. When we allow money to dictate our choices, it enslaves us. But when we control it, it becomes a servant that helps us achieve meaningful goals. Contentment plays a huge role here. By learning to be content with what you have while striving for more in alignment with God's principles, you remove fear and the constant feeling of lack. Money should provide freedom, not anxiety. It should amplify purpose, not diminish it. Generosity is another cornerstone of God's approach to wealth. In our world, giving is often viewed as a sacrifice. The Bible presents it as a principle that unlocks abundance in practical ways. When you give wisely and willingly, you build trust, attract opportunities, and develop a mindset that thinks beyond scarcity. Generosity is not just a spiritual act. It has profound practical implications. It teaches us discipline, gratitude, and vision. When resources flow outward, the channels for provision tend to expand naturally. Those who understand this principle are rarely caught in cycles of fear because they recognize that life operates in seasons, and what goes out often returns multiplied, not always in the way we expect, but in ways that sustain and grow us. Finally, wealth, according to the Bible, is always tied to a higher purpose. Money is not an end in itself. It's a tool to create stability, impact, and lasting influence. True biblical wealth asks, how does this bless others? How does this outlive me? How does this honor God? When your focus shifts from personal accumulation to legacy and service, money transforms from a source of anxiety into a vehicle for impact. It allows you to live with intentionality, make decisions from a position of strength rather than desperation, and leave a meaningful mark on the world. The richest people in Scripture were those who understood that wealth carries responsibility, that it's meant to build lives, communities, and futures, not just bank accounts. So, as we reflect on these principles, trusting God as the source, valuing diligent work, prioritizing wisdom, mastering money instead of being mastered by it, practicing generosity, and attaching purpose to wealth, we begin to see a pattern emerge. Wealth is not a taboo, nor is it inherently evil. It's a reflection of alignment. Alignment between your faith, your efforts, and your intentions. When these are in harmony, prosperity is not only possible, it's natural. And the peace that accompanies financial stability is a gift in itself, one that allows you to focus on life, service, and growth rather than constant stress. By now you may be realizing that God's way of making money is not flashy, fast, or sensational. It's disciplined, intentional, and deeply relational. It calls for patience, faith, and a heart aligned with divine principles. It is not about amassing wealth to impress others or prove your worth. It is about stewarding the resources you have been entrusted with to build a life of meaning, security, and impact. The more you internalize this understanding, the less fear and anxiety you feel, and the more confident you become in making decisions that honor both your faith and your financial future. Learning to master money rather than be mastered by it requires constant self-reflection. Ask yourself, does my money control me, or do I control it? The Bible reminds us that the love of money is dangerous, but the responsible stewardship of it is commendable. This means creating budgets, tracking spending, setting aside for savings, and planning investments thoughtfully. It also means resisting impulses, instant gratification, or comparison with others. When you see money as a tool, you can make choices that align with your values, purpose, and faith. You can invest in ways that honor God and provide stability for your family, while also having the freedom to give generously and support causes that matter. This is financial freedom in its truest sense. I see life where decisions are made from abundance, not fear. Generosity is perhaps one of the most practical yet overlooked ways to align with God's financial principles. Giving is not about emptiness. It's about trust. It demonstrates that you believe God will continue to provide. When you give, you cultivate gratitude, humility, and perspective. It also creates opportunities for growth you may not anticipate. Lydia, mentioned in the New Testament, used her resources to support the early church, and her generosity positioned her as a person of influence and blessing. Giving transforms wealth from a private possession into a living, flowing resource that nurtures relationships, strengthens communities, and opens doors that money alone cannot. The act of giving encourages creative thinking about resources and fosters an abundance mindset that attracts opportunity rather than scarcity. Purpose-driven wealth takes this a step further. The Bible consistently frames money as a means to bless others and honor God. Wealth without purpose can be empty, stressful, or even destructive. But when your wealth is connected to service, stewardship, and legacy, it gains profound meaning. This does not necessarily mean giving everything away or avoiding enjoyment. It means living intentionally, considering how your actions, investments, and resources can create positive impact. Whether it's supporting your family, mentoring others, funding education, or contributing to charitable causes, aligning your financial life with purpose ensures that wealth is not only sustainable but deeply fulfilling. Money, when used with vision and responsibility, becomes a catalyst for creating abundance that reaches far beyond yourself. Let's put this into a practical framework for daily life. First, start with a mindset shift. Begin every day acknowledging that your ability to produce, earn and manage resources is a gift. Pray, reflect, and set intentions that guide your financial decisions. This may feel subtle, but over time it cultivates clarity, calm, and confidence. Second, honor your work. Approach every task with diligence and excellence, knowing that God sees what others may not. Small steps taken consistently often result in outcomes far greater than sporadic bursts of effort. Third, seek wisdom in all financial matters. Read, learn, and consult. Avoid decisions based on fear, hype, or comparison. Wisdom allows you to act boldly with informed confidence. Fourth, maintain control over your resources. Budget, save, invest wisely, and resist compulsive spending. Let your money serve your life, not the other way around. Fifth, practice generosity. Give regularly and intentionally, whether it's to help others, support community projects, or contribute to causes that resonate with your heart. Watch as generosity shifts your mindset from scarcity to abundance. Finally, embed purpose into your financial journey. Ask, how does this action honor God, benefit others, and leave a lasting impact? Purpose transforms ordinary wealth into extraordinary legacy. It's also important to recognize that challenges will come. Life is unpredictable. Market shifts, personal setbacks, or unexpected expenses can test your faith. But when your foundation is God-centered, your response is different. Instead of panic or despair, you approach problems with creativity, resilience, and calmness. You're not just chasing money, you're stewarding it. You're not just surviving, you're growing. Wealth created this way is sustainable because it is anchored in timeless principles rather than fleeting trends. Consider the long-term impact. Wealth built with God's guidance has the potential to influence generations. It provides security for your family, opportunities for others, and resources to create lasting change in your community. When you operate in alignment with biblical principles, your financial life is not a source of anxiety or compromise, but a testimony of faith, integrity, and stewardship. People notice this alignment, and doors often open where there seemed to be no way. Trust, respect, and opportunities flow toward those who live faithfully and manage resources wisely. In conclusion, God's way of making money is neither secret nor complicated. It is straightforward yet profound. It requires trust in God, diligent and excellent work, wise decisions, mastery over resources, consistent generosity, and alignment with a higher purpose. Following these principles does not guarantee instant wealth, but it guarantees stability, peace, and growth that honor both your faith and your life. This approach transforms money from a source of stress into a tool for blessing, influence, and legacy. Imagine waking up tomorrow with a clear mind, a calm heart, and confidence that every financial decision you make is aligned with God's wisdom. Imagine approaching your work with diligence, handling your resources with care, giving freely without fear, and knowing that your wealth is serving a purpose beyond yourself. That is the reality of making money God's way. Not flashy, not fast, but deeply aligned, sustainable and fulfilling. It is a path of faith, responsibility, and blessing. It is a life where money becomes a servant to your dreams, not a master of your fears. This is the promise of biblical wealth. It is not about guilt, scarcity, or selfishness. It is about alignment, purpose, and stewardship. When applied consistently, these principles create financial freedom, peace, and the ability to live fully, serve generously, and leave a meaningful legacy. God's way of making money is a journey, a discipline, and a mindset that transforms both your life and the lives of those around you. Step into it, practice it, and watch as the principles embedded in Scripture unfold into your reality. Wealth handled rightly is not a temptation to fear, it is a tool to bless, grow, and glorify God through the life you live.